It was a cold evening. The street was quiet, and the sky was turning dark. Only the sound of sirens broke the silence. Somewhere near a small alley, a young woman stood alone. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes were wide with fear. Her name was Ava. She looked scared, confused, and lost. She wasn't running. She wasn't hiding. She was just standing there, still, like a statue. Suddenly, a police car came speeding around the corner. It stopped right in front of her. The lights were flashing red and blue. Two officers stepped out. One of them was Officer Miller, tall, strong, and strict. He had no kindness in his eyes. Miller looked at Ava as if she was already guilty. He didn't ask if she was okay. He didn't ask her name. He just stared at her with suspicion. "What are you doing here?" he asked. Ava's voice was soft. I saw someone running. I think something bad happened." Miller stepped closer. "Someone like you, near a crime scene. That's not a good sign." "I didn't do anything," she said quickly. "I was just walking. Then I heard a gunshot, and then a man ran past me. He had a tattoo." "Stop talking," Miller said. His voice was cold. "But I saw him," Ava said. Her hands were shaking. "He had a snake tattoo on his neck. He went that way." Miller pulled out his handcuffs. "I don't care what you saw. You're coming with me." Ava's eyes widened. "What? Why?" "You're under arrest," he said. "I didn't do anything," she cried. "Turn around." "But now." He grabbed her arm and twisted it behind her back. Ava winced in pain. His grip was tight. Too tight. She wasn't fighting back, but he treated her like a dangerous criminal. Officer Ray, Miller's young partner, watched silently. He looked unsure. Something didn't feel right to him. Ava didn't look like a killer. She looked like a witness, or maybe even a victim. But Ray didn't speak. Not yet. Miller pushed Ava against the police car. "You fit the profile," he muttered. "What profile?" Ava asked. Miller said nothing. He just tightened the cuffs and opened the car door. Ava looked around. A few people were watching from across the street. No one said a word. No one helped. As Miller pushed her into the back seat, Ava whispered, "You're arresting the wrong person." At the police station, Miller filled out his report. He didn't include Ava's story about the tattooed man. He didn't mention the direction she pointed to. He didn't care. To him, it was just another easy arrest. Another box checked. Another case closed. Ray sat across the room watching. He remembered Ava's voice, her eyes, her fear. Something didn't feel right. She said someone ran past her, Ray said slowly. Miller didn't even look up. "They all say that. It's always someone else. But what if she's telling the truth?" Miller scoffed. "You're too soft, Ray. This job isn't about feelings." But Ray couldn't stop thinking. He had seen people lie before. But Ava didn't seem like one of them. Her pain looked real. In the holding cell, Ava sat alone. Her hands were red from the tight cuffs. Her eyes were tired. Her heart felt heavy. She thought about her brother. He had asked her to come to this neighborhood. He said he needed help. But now she was behind bars, and he was still missing. She closed her eyes. Her lips moved silently. "Please, someone listen. I didn't do anything." Later that night, as Officer Ray walked past the cells, Ava looked up. For 1 second, their eyes met. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. But in that one look, Ray saw the truth. And maybe, just maybe, he started to believe her. But Officer Miller, he was still smiling. He thought he had done his job. He thought Ava was just another suspect. But he didn't know. Karma was already on its way. The next morning, the sky was gray. Rain tapped against the windows of the police station. Inside, the air felt colder than the weather outside. Ava sat alone in the small gray interrogation room. Her wrists were red from the handcuffs. Her eyes were tired, but her spirit hadn't broken yet. The door opened with a loud creak. Officer Miller walked in. His face was serious, cold, no smile, no kindness. He didn't bring her water. He didn't ask how she was. He just dropped a file on the table and sat across from her. "You ready to tell the truth now?" he asked. Ava looked up. "I already told the truth." Miller laughed a little. "You expect me to believe that you just happened to be at the crime scene at the exact time of the murder?" "I didn't know a murder happened," Ava said quietly. "I was going to meet my brother. Then I heard a gunshot. A man ran past me. He had a tattoo on his neck." Miller's eyes narrowed. "This tattoo again?" "Yes, it was a snake. Right here." Ava touched the side of her neck. He looked scared. "He ran into the alley. I think he was the one." Whoa. Miller slammed his hand on the table. "Stop lying." Ava jumped at the sound. "You think this is a game?" Miller said. "You people always make up stories when you get caught." "I'm not lying," Ava whispered. Miller leaned closer. "Let me tell you something. I've been doing this job for 15 years. I can smell a liar." Ava looked straight at him. Her voice didn't shake. "Then your nose is broken." For a moment, there was silence. Then Miller stood up. He walked to the corner of the room and pulled out a photo. "This man?" he asked, showing her a blurry image from a security camera. "This who you saw?" Ava leaned forward. Her heart jumped. "Yes, that's him. That's the man I saw." Miller raised an eyebrow. "Interesting, because we found this image 2 hours after we arrested you. You didn't know we had this." "I told you the truth," Ava said. "I saw him." Miller didn't respond. He stared at her, trying to read her face, but her eyes were steady. Finally, he left the room without saying a word. Outside the room, Officer Ray stood watching through the glass. He had heard everything. He turned to Miller. "She described the tattoo before we even found the footage." Miller shrugged. "Lucky guess. She probably knows the guy." Ray wasn't so sure. He walked away, deep in thought. Later, Ava sat alone again. The door opened. This time, it was Ray. He looked nervous, but his eyes were softer. "I'm Officer Ray," he said. "Mind if I ask you a few questions?" Ava nodded slowly. Ray sat down and opened his notebook. "You said your brother called you?" "Yes. He told me to meet him in that area. He sounded scared. I went there, but I didn't find him. Then I heard the shot." "Did your brother say why he was scared?" Ava shook her head. "No, just that he was in trouble." Ray wrote something down. "What's his name?" "Jordan Black." Ray looked up. That name was in the victim's phone. Ava gasped. "What? Is my brother dead?" "No," Ray said quickly. "The victim was someone else. But Jordan's name was in the call log. We're trying to find him now." Ava's eyes filled with tears. "Please, find him. He's not a criminal. He was just trying to survive." Ray stood up. "Thank you, Ava. That's all for now." Before leaving, he looked at her once more. "You were right about the tattoo. I'll look into it." Back in the hallway, Ray met Miller. "She's not our killer," Ray said. "There's more going on here." Miller rolled his eyes. "Don't start with your hero complex. Just because she's a good actress doesn't mean she's innocent." Ray frowned. "Or maybe you just don't want to admit you were wrong." Miller stepped closer. His voice was low. "Watch it, rookie." But Ray didn't back down. Because something in Ava's voice, something in her eyes, told him this wasn't over. In the dark of her cell that night, Ava whispered to herself, "They don't believe me, but someone will." Outside the station, the rain turned into a storm. And somewhere in the city, a man with a snake tattoo looked over his shoulder. Because karma was already following him. The morning light came slowly, but inside the police station, the truth was still hidden in shadows. Officer Ray sat at his desk, looking at the security footage again and again. He paused it on the moment the man with the snake tattoo ran across the screen. The image was blurry, but Ray could see the fear in the man's eyes. Ava was telling the truth, but no one else seemed to care. Ray opened the case file. Something didn't feel right. The timeline didn't add up. Ava was arrested minutes after the crime, but the footage showed someone running away before that. Why didn't Officer Miller see it? Or worse, did he see it and choose to ignore it? Meanwhile, Ava sat quietly in the cell. She hadn't eaten. She hadn't slept. All she could think about was her brother. Was he safe? Was he hiding? Or was he next? She stood up and walked to the bars. A female officer walked by. "Please," Ava said softly. "Can I just make one phone call?" The officer paused, then shook her head. Not yet. Ava sat back down, feeling hopeless again. In the evidence room, Ray found something interesting. A witness report. It was from a woman who lived in an apartment near the crime scene. She had called 911 right after the gunshot. Ray read her statement. "I saw a man running. He had a tattoo on his neck. He was wearing a black hoodie. He dropped something shiny before he disappeared into the alley." Ray's eyes widened. The same tattoo, the same direction, the same moment Ava described. Why wasn't this report in the main file? Ray checked the folder label. Ignored / not urgent. It had Miller's signature on it. Ray rushed to the captain's office. "Sir, I think we made a mistake," he said. Captain Walters looked up. "What kind of mistake?" "A big one. Ava Black might be innocent." Ray placed the report and the footage on the desk. The captain read the witness statement and looked at the screen. He frowned. Why wasn't this report processed? Ray stayed silent. The captain nodded slowly. "All right. Keep digging." Quietly. Later that day, Ray went to the holding cells again. He stopped outside Ava's cell. "I found the witness," he said quietly. "She saw the same man you did." Ava stood up quickly. "So you believe me now?" "I think you're telling the truth, but I need more proof. Do you remember anything else about the man?" Ava closed her eyes, thinking. "Yes, he was limping, like he hurt his leg." Ray wrote it down. "That helps. Thank you." Before he left, Ava grabbed the bars. "Please find my brother. His name is Jordan Black. He might be in danger." Ray nodded. "I'll do my best." Across the city, in a dark motel room, a young man sat on the bed, shaking. It was Jordan. He held a burner phone and stared at a picture of his sister. His heart was heavy with guilt. He hadn't meant for her to get involved. But now she was behind bars. Because of him. He looked down at his leg. There was blood soaking through his pants. He whispered, "I have to tell someone." Back at the station, Officer Miller was in the break room, drinking coffee. Another officer walked in. "Hey, Miller, you see the new footage?" Miller's face turned stiff. "What footage?" "The guy with the tattoo. Looks like Ava wasn't lying." Miller said nothing. He walked out quickly, face tight. That night, Ray received an anonymous text. "Meet me alone. 12 a.m. Old train station. I have proof. J." Ray's heart pounded. Was it Jordan? Was this the break they needed? He looked at the time. It was 11:15 p.m. He grabbed his jacket and headed out the door. Inside her cell, Ava looked out the small window. A storm was coming again. She didn't know it yet, but the shadows were starting to move. The old train station was silent. The wind howled through broken windows. Trash moved across the floor like ghosts in the dark. Officer Ray stood under a flickering light, looking around. His hand was near his gun. He didn't know who he was meeting, or if it was a trap. Then he heard it. A soft cough. From the shadows. Ray turned quickly. "Jordan?" A figure stepped out, thin, pale, limping. It was Jordan Black. He looked weak. His clothes were dirty. His leg was bleeding. But his eyes were full of fear and truth. "You're the cop Ava told me about?" he asked. Ray nodded. "Yes. I want to help, but I need answers. Fast." Jordan looked around, nervous. "We don't have much time. They're watching me. If they find out I talked to you, I'm dead." "Who's watching you?" Jordan sat on a broken bench. He took a deep breath. "It started with a guy named Marcus. He runs dirty deals in the neighborhood. I used to work for him. I wanted quick money to help Ava, but I got in too deep." Ray listened carefully. "Last week," Jordan continued, "I saw Marcus kill a man. He shot him in the alley, right where Ava got arrested." Ray's eyes widened. "You saw the murder?" Jordan nodded. "I was there. I saw everything. I was supposed to meet Marcus that night, but when I saw the gun, I panicked. I ran." Ray asked, "Did Marcus see you?" "Yes," Jordan whispered. "And now he wants me dead." He pulled a crumpled phone from his pocket. "I recorded the shooting. It's not perfect, but you can hear Marcus's voice. You can hear the gunshot." Ray took the phone. He played the file. "Gunshot. A man's voice. Nobody double-crosses me. Now clean it up." Ray's heart pounded. This could clear Ava. Jordan grabbed his arm. "Please, protect her. I never wanted her to get hurt." Ray nodded. "Come with me. We'll keep you safe." But Jordan shook his head. "If they see me at the station, they'll come for Ava. Let me disappear until you use the video. Please." Ray didn't like it, but he understood. He took the phone and ran back to his car. At the police station, Officer Miller was on the phone in a quiet hallway. His voice was low. His face looked tense. "Yeah, we've got a problem. Someone's poking around. I think the girl's brother is alive." He didn't know Captain Walters was listening from around the corner. The captain's eyes narrowed. Back in her cell, Ava sat on the cold floor, thinking of her brother. She didn't know if he was alive. She didn't know if anyone believed her. But deep inside, something told her the truth was coming. Later that night, Ray played the audio for Captain Walters. The captain listened closely. He didn't speak for a long time. When the audio ended, he looked up at Ray. "Where did you get this?" Ray didn't answer directly. "It's real. And it proves Ava didn't kill anyone." Walters leaned back in his chair. "Then it's time we make this right." Across town, Marcus was in a nightclub. Loud music, fake smiles, fast money. One of his men came close and whispered in his ear, "Jordan's alive." Marcus's face darkened. "Then we finish this." He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Tell our friend inside the police station. It's time to clean up the mess." That same night, someone entered the evidence room at the police station, wearing gloves, moving fast, searching for a phone. And Ava, she didn't know her life was hanging by a thread. But Karma was already in the building. The sun hadn't risen yet, but inside the police station, darkness was already at work. Someone was in the evidence room, moving quickly. Gloved hands opened drawers, checked labels, grabbed a small phone wrapped in a clear bag. Jordan's phone, the one with the proof that could save Ava. The figure slipped the bag into a black coat and disappeared. At the same time, Officer Ray was on his way to the station. He held a backup copy of the audio Jordan had sent him. He didn't trust the system completely. That's why he had made a second copy on a USB drive. But what he didn't know was, someone was watching him. Inside her cell, Ava sat on her bed. Her eyes were red. Her body was tired. But her heart was strong. She had dreamed of her brother. In the dream, he was crying, calling her name, and then suddenly taken away into the dark. She woke up shaking. Just then, the cell door opened. Two officers stepped in. "You're being transferred," one of them said. "Transferred? Where?" Ava asked. "Downtown holding. Orders came in this morning." She hesitated. "Is Officer Ray here?" "No," they said. "Get up. Let's go." Something felt wrong. Meanwhile, Captain Walters stood by the coffee machine when Ray arrived. "Morning, sir," Ray said. "We need to talk. I have the audio proof." The captain turned, confused. "What proof?" Ray paused. "The audio from Jordan. I told you about it last night." The captain's face changed. "You never told me anything." Ray's heart dropped. "What?" Just then, a young officer ran into the room. "Sir, the evidence room was hit. Jordan's phone is gone." Ray stepped back. "Where's Ava?" he asked. "She was transferred this morning." "No," Ray said, panic in his voice. "She wasn't supposed to be moved." The captain's face went pale. "She's in danger." Ava sat in the back of a black police van. The two officers in front didn't talk, didn't play music, didn't even look at her. One of them checked his phone. "Marcus says take her to the docks." No questions. Ava couldn't hear them, but she could feel something was wrong. Back at the station, Ray was in full panic. "They took her. She's not going to another station. It's a setup." He ran to the garage, jumped in his car, started tracking the police van. Come on. On his laptop, he followed the GPS dot heading toward the city's edge, toward the water. At the old docks, the van stopped. The officers got out and opened the door. Ava stepped out slowly. "This isn't a police station," she said, heart pounding. One of the officers smiled darkly. "No, it's where problems disappear." Ava tried to run, but was caught. One pulled out a gun. "Any last words?" Ava's voice shook, but she spoke clearly. "You're going to pay for this. I didn't kill anyone." Before they could answer, tires screeched. A car came speeding down the road. Ray jumped out. "Get away from her," he shouted, gun in hand. The two officers turned, but before they could shoot, backup sirens wailed in the distance. Ray had called for help. The corrupt officers dropped their guns and ran. Ray rushed to Ava, grabbed her hand. "I've got you." Ava was shaking. "They were going to kill me." "Not on my watch," Ray said. At the same time, the captain opened Miller's locker. Inside, he found cash, a burner phone, and a message from Marcus. Captain Walters' face turned cold. "Miller," he whispered, "you're finished." But Marcus, he wasn't done yet. He watched the news from his hideout, saw Ava rescued, saw Ray standing beside her. He smiled. If they want a war, they'll get one. Because sometimes, the darkest secrets don't stay buried. The police station was no longer calm. Whispers filled the hallways. Something big had happened, and everyone knew it had something to do with Officer Miller. But Miller, he acted like nothing was wrong. He walked in, smiled at the front desk, and sipped his coffee. But behind him, eyes were watching. Inside the captain's office, Captain Walters placed the burner phone, the hidden cash, and the message from Marcus on the table. Next to it, he had the witness report, Jordan's audio, and a new file, one with years of ignored cases involving young black suspects Miller had arrested. It was time to expose him. Ray stood across from the captain. "He's done," Ray said. The captain nodded. "Let's make it official." In the hallway, Miller walked past the locker room. He saw Ray standing there, staring at him. Ray didn't move, didn't speak, just stared. Miller stopped. "You got something to say?" Ray smiled just slightly. "Yeah, karma's real." Miller raised an eyebrow. "What's that supposed to mean?" Before Ray could answer, two internal affairs officers walked up behind Miller. "Officer Miller," one said, "you're under investigation. Please come with us." Miller laughed. "What are you talking about?" Ray stepped forward. We found everything. The calls, the cash, the messages, the cover-ups. Miller's face went pale. You set up Ava. You destroyed witness reports. And now, it's your turn. In the holding room, Miller sat alone. No badge, no gun, just silence. He thought about Ava, about Jordan, about all the people he had hurt over the years, and for the first time, he felt something new. Fear. Across the city, Ava sat at a cafe with Ray. She sipped warm tea, still shaken, but finally free. I never thought I'd make it out, she said softly. Ray nodded. You shouldn't have gone through any of it. But now, the truth is out. Ava looked out the window. Do you think people will believe it? They will, Ray said, because we have proof. And because now, you have a voice. On the news that night, the headline read, Racist cop under investigation after false arrest and evidence tampering. People began to speak. Old victims stepped forward. More stories came out. Officer Miller's reputation, gone. His name, ruined. And Marcus? He watched from the shadows, his face full of anger. If they want a war, he growled, then we bring them fire. But Ray wasn't afraid. He had Ava's trust. He had Jordan's video. And he had something more powerful than bullets. The truth. The city slept, but danger didn't. In a dark warehouse near the river, Marcus stood in front of his men. His eyes were cold. His voice was sharp. They embarrassed me. They exposed my name. It's time we remind them who runs this city. He slammed his hand on the table. Find Jordan. And this time, no more warnings. At the police station, Ray worked late into the night. The case against Miller was almost finished. Internal Affairs had all the proof. It wouldn't be long before Miller was arrested for good. But Ray wasn't celebrating yet. He knew Marcus was still out there. And Ava, she was still in danger. In a small apartment, Ava and Jordan were together again for the first time since the nightmare began. Ava held her brother's hand tightly. I thought you were dead, she whispered. I almost was, Jordan said, his voice shaky. But I couldn't let them blame you. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Jordan said, he's not going to stop, Ava. Marcus doesn't forgive. Ava nodded. Then we don't hide. We fight. That night, Ray received a message on his phone. They know where Jordan is. They're coming. No name. No number. Ray grabbed his gun and keys. He called Ava. Don't open the door. I'm on my way. But it was already too late. 3 black cars stopped outside Ava's building. Men with masks and weapons jumped out. Inside, Jordan looked through the window. His face turned white. They're here. Ava grabbed a kitchen knife. No more running. The door slammed open. A man rushed in, only to be knocked down by Ava, fast and fearless. Jordan grabbed a chair and swung it. Another man fell. But they were too many. Then, gunshots. The room lit up with flashing blue and red. Ray had arrived. And behind him, backup. The fight turned. Police rushed in. Marcus's men ran. Some were caught. Some disappeared into the night. But Marcus, he wasn't there. At the same time, miles away, Marcus stood in a car, watching the building through binoculars. He saw his men fall. He saw Ray holding Ava's hand, helping her to the car. He clenched his teeth. They're not smart, he growled. They're just lucky. His driver asked, what now? Marcus didn't answer, but his eyes said everything. This wasn't over. Not yet. At the police station, Ava and Jordan were safe, for now. Ray walked in and handed Ava something small, her old necklace. I found it in the evidence box. Thought it might bring you some peace. Ava smiled for the first time in days. Thank you, Ray, for everything. Ray nodded. But it's not finished yet, he said. We still have to take Marcus down. Ava stood up. Then let's finish it, together. In the shadows, Marcus made one last call. To anyone who still works for me, he said, get ready. We're going to burn it all down. Because for him, this was war. But for Ava, it was justice, rising. The courtroom was full. People sat silently. Reporters scribbled notes. Cameras rolled from the back. At the front sat Ava, dressed simply, but with strength in her eyes. Beside her, Jordan, alive, brave, ready to tell the world the truth. And across from them, in handcuffs, stood Officer Miller. No badge, no pride, no escape. His face was pale. His hands shook. He never looked at Ava. The judge entered. Court is now in session. Ray watched from the crowd. His heart was heavy, but hopeful. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. Jordan stood to testify. He told them everything. How he worked for Marcus. How he saw the murder. How he ran when he saw Marcus shoot the man. And how Officer Miller, knowing he didn't have enough evidence, still arrested Ava, because of how she looked, because of his own hate. The court listened closely. Then Ray played the audio. Marcus's voice. The gunshot. The orders to clean it up. Gasps filled the room. Miller's lawyer tried to object, tried to twist the story, but it was useless. The truth was loud now, too loud to silence. Outside the courtroom, Marcus's men had all vanished, arrested or running. And Marcus, caught. An early morning raid had ended his game. He sat in a different prison now, waiting for his own trial. No more hiding, no more power. Back in court, the judge looked at Miller. You were sworn to protect the people, she said, but you used your badge to hurt them. Then she turned to Ava. And you are free, fully, finally, and you are owed more than this court can ever repay. Tears ran down Ava's face. Jordan hugged her tightly. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. But Ava spoke only one sentence. My name is Ava. I am not a suspect. I am a survivor. Weeks passed. Officer Miller was sent to prison. Marcus's empire collapsed. Ray received a medal for bravery, but he said the real hero was Ava. And Ava. She began to speak at schools and events. She told her story, not to gain attention, but to wake people up, to show what happens when power is abused and what happens when good people stand up. One night, as the sun set, Ava stood on a rooftop with Ray and Jordan. The city lights glowed below. It's over, Jordan whispered. Ava shook her head, smiling. No, it's just beginning. And above them, the stars shined silently, as if the sky itself knew justice had a name. And her name was Ava.